Does this shirt still look good? I've had it for like 10 years. I don't know if it's like done. Hey guys, how are you doing today? I'm doing pretty fantastic. Thank you for asking. Welcome to the story time, I guess. I don't know. It's not really a story time. It's more of like, I'm irritated, you know? So you may be like, hey, why are you irritated? Aren't you always irritated? Yes and no. So the thing is like I've been in my youth, because I'm not youthful anymore, I would have a lot of really weird plane experiences, and like recently I had another one and I thought like we were done with that because I no longer look like I'm, 15 and underage. So I have a whole list of pet peeves as to why I hate airplanes. These stories are a collection of all of my 30 years of living from flying on an airplane. Prepare yourself. You're gonna get irritated. You're gonna get real mad. You may even see red, because I see red. We'll just start out with the most recent one I experienced, all right? So I'm on an airplane. Surprise, surprise, because the whole stories are about airplanes. Anyway, I'm on an airplane. I'm in the back seat, so my back is up against like potty, which is its own hateful thing. When people poop, they poop and they let it simmer and they just sit there. They don't do a immediate like, oh, poop hit the toilet flush. No, they just sit there. They just poop. They just release their entire colon and they're like, maybe I should flush, or maybe I'll let it sit for another 2 minutes. And the people in the back of the plane are like, ugh. So I was at the back of the plane and it was like me, I had the window seat, nice, because window. Me, this dude that kind of looked around my age, and then like this older guy who looked like he was a businessman, a very professional, a very successful businessman. You know, some people go to the airport and they're like all dressed up. He looked that times 10. He looked exquisite. I'm pretty sure I was in PJs, and then the guy next to me was wearing like sweatpants and a sweatshirt and just was like a dude. So this flight was like a pretty hefty flight, and we're sitting there, we're just, flying along, and then we have like 30 minutes left of the flight, maybe 45 minutes. Exquisite businessman was just on his computer. Me was listening to my music and I was like la 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 la, playing Kirby on my Switch or whatever. And the guy in the middle was like in and out of sleep. He's doing the whole like head bobble thing. Oh, hello Thor. Hello. We're about to land, the pilot comes on. Ding. Anyway, you get the point. I guess we had started to descend, or we were about to start descending. The exquisite guy goes up to the bathroom and then he comes back, and as he's sitting down, the dude in the hoodie and like in the middle just wakes up and is like, starts panic attack and he stands up and he's just like looking around, has his flashlight on, he starts ripping the seat apart. And I turned my headset off like to the side, and I look, and it's just a dude ripping the seat apart, and I was like, the hell? And so I look at the exquisite guy and he's looking at me like, what the hell? And the guy's like just frantic, like looking around. And so the flight attendant comes over and he was like, excuse me, do you need help? And the guy was like, I can't find my vape. I can't find my vape. Dude was looking for a vape. He was tearing the plane apart to look for a vape. So then he's like, oh, I have it. And the flight attendant's like, you have it? And he's like, yeah, it's right here. It was in my hoodie. It's right here. And so me and the exquisite guy are looking at each other like, what just happened? So I put my headphones back on and I'm like, okay, let's just rest, listen to music, just play games, whatever. And then all of a sudden I smell fruit, but not like a good kind of fruit, like a burning in my nostrils kind of fruit, and it makes my throat hurt. And I open my eyes and I look over, dude is doing this. Like Thomas the Tank Engine choo-choo train vaping in the back of the airplane. And I was like, oh my God, I was like, you can't vape on an airplane. Surely someone's gonna see it and come over. No. I counted, and dude would take like 3 big hits every 30 seconds. And I had to sit on the back of the plane. I had a mask on too, by the way. I still wear masks while I still wear masks in general, but while flying especially, because it's like you're in a metal tube with like a bunch of other people, and like I can still smell it very heavily through my mask, but like I don't want to breathe in your vapes. But the whole thing, I was like, oh my God. I was like, okay, I should go tattle on him. I should go tell the flight attendant like, hey, dude's vaping. But then I was like, but he's gonna know it's me, because I'm gonna be like, excuse me, I have to get out of the aisle. And then all of a sudden the flight attendant follows me, and it's just like, I was like, well then he's gonna like, what's gonna happen to me? Like, is he gonna like, like be aggressive towards me? Because he was aggressive when he thought he lost his vape, and I was like, what is gonna happen? So then I was like, well, I could tough it out, maybe they'll see it. And I was like, maybe exquisite man will go like talk to nothing. Nope, nothing. That was fun. I love that flight. That was a really good flight. You're not ready, because there's more. Granted, not all of them are gonna be as like detailed. Like there was one flight where it was me and my brothers. We were flying. I think we were flying alone. It was me. Had the window seat, and then I think Gage was in the middle, and then Garrett was on the other side. The plane is about to descend, And this is before like phones, this is before like noise canceling headphones, like this is like the before times, all right? So we're sitting there, we're coloring, we're playing with each other because we're siblings and like, you know, we're annoying each other, but we're also helping each other get past the time because it was a really long flight. We're sitting there and we hear like this guy in the back talking to this woman, and this woman has a kid, and you know, they're just chatting, whatever. And then we hear, oh, are you okay? And then we hear, oh yeah, I just, do you have any like baby wipes? That usually helps. Dude upchucked. A full grown, like listen, if it happens, it happens, but like a full grown man upchucked behind us. And I, in my family, I'm the only one who has a super big fear of vomit, right? My dad did. My dad is not alive. So at the time he was, but he didn't. He was, you know, separate part of the plane. Me, Gage, and Garrett. And then I didn't want them to be freaked out, but I was already freaked out, right? Because a dude threw up. Capital F-R-E-W, threw behind us. And it wasn't like a little kid spit up. It was a full grown man. I guess the mom that was like next to him was like helping him clean. And he was like, oh, baby wipes help me. Like they help the nausea or something. Gage leans over and he goes, did the guy behind us throw up? And I was like, no, I don't know. He didn't. He probably just spilled something. And Gage was like, oh, okay. And I look out the window and I was like this. I was like, tears just streaming down my, because you can't escape. Like I can't run away, I can't close my eyes, I can't cover my mouth, you know, smelling white. Like it just, vomit freaks me out. I just remember being like, no, nothing happened, Gage. And then looking out the window like, it makes me laugh now, but at the same time, like back then, like I was so traumatized. There was this other time, oh my God, I had to have been 20. I was on a flight. One of the things that bothered me the most, I'm not on a plane to make friends respectfully. I you know, like kind chit chat is fine. I don't mind that. If I put on headphones and you tap my shoulder to talk to me for the whole flight, I don't want to talk to you. You're a stranger, and I just want to sit and enjoy the flight and listen to my music. Jeez. This is the worst part, right? Because I was in an aisle, so I was here, and the dude sat here across the aisle, right? So he sat there, and then he talked to me the whole flight, asking me question after question. Oh, how old are you? Where do you live? Where did you grow up? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I did this. Oh, I live in Vegas, and blah, blah, blah. I'm an MMA fighter, and blah, 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 blah. I'm 33, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, like there was no way for me to, like I didn't ask any questions about him. He was just telling me everything. And then he's like, oh, can I get your number? Like we could hang out. Looking back now, because I'm 30, and the thing is, this is what sucks too. I kept looking at the flight attendants for help because I could not get away from him and he would not leave me alone. And I should have gotten up and I should have walked over and been like, the guy next to me is making me really uncomfortable. Can you move me somewhere else? I just didn't know you could do that, but I was also 20 and I was scared little deer, you know? And I was like, oh, I don't give my number out. And he's like, oh, can I get your socials? And I was like, no, because I didn't want to tell him I did YouTube, and then eventually it came out, and so he's like, oh, yo, we should definitely switch socials, and you know, I can promote your stuff, and you can promote my MMA stuff. Dude had like 3 followers, and he definitely did not do MMA. And then I was like, he's like talking about Vegas, or he's like, oh, have you ever been? And I was like, oh, one time, but you know, I know that Zach Bagans lives there. He's like, oh, I'm friends with Zach Bagans, and I was like, dude, do y'all know who Zach Bagans is? The whole thing was just so weird. And then when I got off the plane, I thought we were like done. No, he wanted to walk with me to the baggage claim and just chatting. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. It was nice to meet you. Haha. I think I ended up blocking him after like a week or so because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna run into him again. But it's still so jarring. I was a baby, dude. Like it's just, I'm 30 now. There's no way I would talk to someone who's like 20, just be like, where do you live? How old are you? Ew, what are you gonna do for a living? We should follow each other. Can I have your number? Like that's weird. Ugh, listen, if a 33-year-old is going after someone specifically who is way younger than him, that is not a good look. Speaking of people, there's some that aren't that bad. There was one time I was at a window, there was a guy in the middle, and he was trying to talk to me the whole time, and he was luckily more my age, but like, I could tell he was shy, and he was like trying to like muster up the courage to talk to me just in general, and I was like, yeah, you know, chatting, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, when we started to land, he's like, oh, can I follow your, you know, Instagram, and you follow me back? I was like, sure, because it's so awkward. And so I did, and then the dude, this is one thing that he never messaged me, he never did anything. He just kind of fell off the face of the planet. Like he used to like post like regularly, like, cause I looked at his profile like while we were landing, and he would like post, you know, whatever. But then like when I followed him, it just nothing. He like was never active again. And I was like, oh my God, I hope he's okay. Like, you know, it was weird. But like, why do you talk to people on airplanes? You know, don't talk to me on an airplane. Like if you recognize me and you're like, hey Kate, I watch your YouTube videos. I'm like, thank you, that's cool. Although I will say, if you ever come up to me and you're like, hey Kate, I watch your YouTube videos, or hey Kate, I love your Twitch streams, I'm gonna be so awkward, and I'm sorry, it just throws me, because I'm like in my own world, and someone goes, hey Kate, I'm like, huh? You know the Patrick, the SpongeBob, where it's like SpongeBob's like, who do they think they are? They can't treat me like this. And Patrick's like, huh? Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like that. Like I'm like walking and someone goes, hey Kate, and I'm like, huh? Oh, so you know how like if guys get hit in the bowels, it hurts? Turns out girls also have something similar to that. It's very painful to remember. I'm sure y'all can relate if you've ever been, you know, love tapped. But anyway, so one time I was exiting a plane. We were all getting off the plane. And you know how the tray tables are like attached to the chair? Well, someone didn't attach it. And so as I was by the window and I was walking out, the tray table came down and it just, the corner in the middle of the, I feel like I can include myself. And those of you who have been love tapped in your love sex, I can join your group, because having a corner of a table get slammed into, how do I word this? Because I don't want to get demonetized. You know, the button. It doesn't feel good. It feels real bad, actually. It's like I saw stars. Like it was, luckily though, this doesn't really involve people. It just involves the plane being a dick. Oh no. I think I've talked about me not being the brightest bulb for a lot of my life. When I was like 18, I think this was the first time I flew to the UK. I thought, you know, everything was fine and dandy. So I woke up, you know, it was a flight in the middle of the night, you know, you're sleeping. I woke up and I taken my shoes off because I had all 3 rows of seating to myself. So I was like laying down, like, woke up, had to pee. So I was like, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. So I start shuffling down the aisle, you know, socks and all, go to the bathroom. So I'm waiting and this male flight attendant is like, where are your shoes? And I was like, at my seat. And he's like, you should put them on. And I was like, do I have to? And he's like, well, you're gonna go into the bathroom, right? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, and the bathroom's kind of gross because, you know, men stand in there and they pee and they miss a lot. And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh. And he's like, you should get your shoes. I was like, yeah. I never thought, looking back, I'm like, how many times did I go to the bathroom in socks? Like, how many times did my parents allow me to go to the bathroom in socks? Like, the thought, ugh. So wherever that flight attendant is, thank you. I will never do that again. Ugh. Gross. There was so many times in flights where, like, you know, you feel like, you say you're sitting in a seat and you're like, window seat, and you're like, ah, nice, you have the window, and all of a sudden you feel like fingers crawling up your arm and you're like, the hell? So you go to look and there's just a baby's face smushed in between the 2 seats, just being like, who's not watching their children? Like, what I know we're on an airplane and it's like they're right there, but like, watch your child. Like, I've had so many fingers and like feetsies and everything touching me. Even adults do that, which is bizarre. People on airplanes act bad and act weird and they're just, mind your business, you know? Like, it's not that hard. This one doesn't technically include an airplane, although it kind of does. It's really a small story. Basically, I was waiting to get on a plane and there's these 2 younger guys in front of me that have taken all the drugs in the world. And they were acting like they had taken all the drugs in the world. And it got to the point where everybody around us was like, what is going on? Because they were like, on stuff. And then the flight attendant came over and was like, hey, if you're gonna keep acting like this, you can't get on the flight. And they're like, oh, we're fine. We're fine. They were not fine. They needed help. But luckily I didn't sit next to them on the plane. Oh, there was another time I was getting on a plane, right? I could tell we were gonna be delayed because everybody on this plane, I had brought not a suitcase, a duffel bag and a backpack, and I didn't check any bags so I wanted to be quick and easy. Everybody else had the same idea, only they didn't bring duffel bags. They brought giant suitcases, every single person. We were an hour delayed because people were so pokey getting on the plane being like, where does my suitcase go? Oh, it won't fit that. Oh, what about it? And they'd like open stuff that was already full to the brim. They're like, oh, flight attendant. Oh, it was so bad, dude. We were delayed an hour because people were so slow putting their luggage away. That's bizarre to me. And last but not least, I was on a flight and there was a dude next to me. He seemed like a really nice guy. However, I'm 5'5.5". A little curvy, but for the most part, I don't take up too much of the seat. Dude next to me was like 6'6" or something, and he was jacked. Like, he was, ooh. He should not have had the middle seat. I don't know how he ended up with the middle seat, so I feel a little bad telling this story because he needed space. However, I'll include a photo. My space was his space, apparently, because the whole flight, his leg would just keep inching more and more into my seat, and to the part where he was man-spreading so wide. His legs were just whoosh. I don't know if the other person was like fighting back or if they didn't have that issue. All I know is his leg was like touching mine the whole flight. And I know you're like, Kate, oh my God, why didn't you say something? Dude was asleep. And he's really nice. Like, he wasn't chit-chatty, but just very like, oh, how's your day going? Oh, it's good. How's yours? Oh, mine's pretty good. I was worried that he was gonna be too chit-chatty, but I put on my headphones, so I was just kind of be like, It helps that I have like actual headphones and not like the little earbuds. The guy was really nice, but overall I could have done without the man spreading. But let me know down in the comments if you had any crazy airplane stories. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys have fantastic, helpful stuff, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.